Well, Steve, I think we're on.
I think it's live. Yep.
It's like always that people always laugh because when you're watching these things, it's like, oh, obviously the camera starts and that's when they know they're on, right? Isn't there a red light? And it's like, no, we have lag and delays and all kinds of stuff, because all the little Ethernets have to go through the token rings, and then they end up on the floor. They get scooped up by a uplink and then it's sprayed all over the internets. So anyway, hey, good to see you again, Steve. You look good, darling.
Thank you. I've been getting a lot of sun, doing a lot of yard work, catching up on a lot of projects at the household. This is our big break. We get the 2 weeks off for Christmas, and I got to go back next Monday. So just been knocking out a bunch of chores out in the sun.
To be an academic, I miss it sometimes. It's like, oh well, we have summer. I'm like, yeah. No, not in the private sector. No.
Yeah, unfortunately, I teach through summer too, so winter is the only big break I get. But
yeah, that money you're making, man, crazy money.
It's dropping. I have
Your
a fan blowing it away so you don't see it on stream.
No, I was.
How was your Christmas? Everything went well?
Yeah, it's fine. I'm more of a quiet Christmas person. I'm like this far from bah humbug. Yeah. Now. New Year's Eve is a different story, mon frere. I will be spending it in New Orleans and pretending that I'm 1/3 my age. And if you hear anything happens, any explosions on Bourbon Street, you can blame it on me, man.
Nice. My A bill at school was actually at Keesler Air Force Base in Biloxi, Mississippi. And I was there long enough to experience, we used to drive over to Slidell and Tulane University and hit New Orleans and all that stuff to have drinks and have fun. And that's a lot of fun. Fat Tuesday and that whole thing. It is very packed though. I hope you got a nice suite or something.
Oh, we do. We're staying at a place called the Roosevelt. So you if you were from Slidell, then you would take the Pontchartrain Bridge in, right? The big long bridge.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Okay, so sorry, I'm getting extra information coming in from all these different directions. Hey, listen, Steve, I want you to know, my brother, that I would give you a kidney if you needed it.
Just one?
Just one. But in return, you're going to have to donate some hair, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah, it is.
I literally want to run my fingers through it. It's like, yeah.
It is getting a little ridiculous.
I didn't want to say anything.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's all right, man.
Trying to grow it out a little bit. Wife and I had talked about for the last couple of years, honestly, doing that locks of love thing. But you have to grow it out to a certain length, and I only usually let the top grow a little, never the sides. So I don't know. I might do the locks of love thing this year and see if I can get it to. I think it has to be 4 to 6 inches minimum.
Wow. Yeah, good on you, man. I've actually know a few. I live less than a mile from the big Houston Medical Center.
Oh,
and,
okay.
So, we run into both sides of that equation a lot.
Yep.
And so it's a great charity. So good on you, man.
Yeah, sadly, it started when I was young. I had a girlfriend introduce me. She worked for the Shriners organization at the hospital in Tampa. And so we used to go there in the physical rehab section and help those kids out. And ever since then, it's just, I don't know. There's something good about it, makes you.
It is good. It is good.
You're giving back and you're doing good.
I wanted to join the Shriners too, but I just couldn't fit on that little car, It was always. Well,
I never liked the hats. I'm surprised you don't have a Shriners hat with all the other hats you have.
I have a fez somewhere, but my dad was actually a Shriner and a Mason.
Oh,
so
okay.
To me, it's a little bit stolen valorish to wear one of those. So I try to be nice about that particular organization. So anyway, man, what a year, huh?
Yeah, quite the year,
darling. The demise of Corona, in my opinion, although others might disagree. And some, I think, substantial changes in the world of IT, in particular, getting work in IT. If I were to pin on you, Steve, what would be the one professional aspect of IT that hit you in the past year? What would come to mind for you?
Oh yeah, it was honestly the and it happened a few months after we were locked down, but towards the end of 2020 and then within, all of 2021 and 2022, the push, like you said, for remote work, but also online accessible education, not just, simple multiple choice stuff, online labs, hands-on sims, things like that, that mass push for every student wanted to transition from in-person classes to online classes. So much so that actually a lot of my classes have shifted to a hybrid model, where we offer 100% online instruction, but we also meet up several times a month in class for, deeper dives on certain subjects or test prep or whatever it may be. But yeah, that to me has been the biggest, because it's a massive change to just the way your entire course is structured. I'm a course author for 4 or 5 of our courses. So just having to redo them all online and find the resources online. And as you know, academia is not exactly brimming with money. So it's not like I have infinite resources available to me. So I had to go out and, create a lot of it myself. But that was the hardest thing for me over the last year, I think. The most beneficial thing was, getting involved with you and the Total Seminars crew and doing those videos. What a fantastic summer that was doing that. And I'm still brimming with excitement from that.
It still blows me away that was what month were you actually doing this? I should be looking in the camera, but I'm actually looking at you. So I'm
doing the same. I think I'm looking away. We got to arrange this better.
It's like, hey, okay, I got to put a big monitor behind my camera, but it's all good. What month were we doing that, man?
So we shot the actual videos themselves the first week of August. At the Houston studios. But the work began, many months before that. So most weeks we were putting in 60 hours plus, rewriting and writing and adapting that. And also not just that, but, there was a lot of changes to Total Sims stuff and all the hands-on labs in the back end at the Total Seminars site and all those test prep questions. And
that's very true.
It was a massive effort by everybody. It was great, but it was a lot of work.
And putting and we're still putting the bow on a couple of simulations that caught a little issue here and there, and the usual errata stuff. Have the video people asked you to do a patch yet?
No. I actually did. I shot some pickups.
Patch, same thing in my video.
Yeah. I shot some pickups, but I think we're going to integrate those in other ways.
Well, see, for me, it works out pretty good with my hairstyle. I can always match that to something I had 6 months ago. Whereas you're going to be, was I part on the left or on the right, or that kind of stuff.
That's true. And I used to always have just a high and tight, the traditional, post Marine Corps military haircut for years. But now I'm kind of a fan of it growing out.
Well, this is my high and tight. I mean, it starts here and it goes up, very high and very, very tight. So
now this might be too personal, but do you shave that, or is it just completely hairless up there?
No, I actually have a button on my back that I press and the hair can come out, You have to fill me full of Play-Doh and press a lever, or Perfect. You can cover my head with chia seeds,
Yep.
It's either that or the I'm trying to think. That would have been funnier if I had what were the other chia pets you used to see? There was like the little hedgehog, and then
they had doll. Bob Ross at one time.
What?
They had a Bob Ross one.
Oh my God! Yeah, I forgot about the.
Remember that one? I always wanted it.
That's going to go back here. You're going to make me find one and put it back there, dude. Hang on, I want to check something real quick.
Me too. I'm organizing things so this looks a little more professional. There we go. I'll see if we're missing anything in chat. Oh, Kylie passed both parts of her A+ exam. Congrats,
Kylie. Way to go, man. Got to give him a round of applause, Steve. Come on. Stick with the traditions, brother. There you go. Well done, Kylie.
That's fantastic. Blue Lantern passed the 1101 too.
What is with all you people, man?
You waited till the very last minute, huh? Last part of the year.
Yeah. 1101 was worse than 1102, but a lot of people would disagree with you on that. But
did you get a lot of printer questions? Because I know I did. Those front-loaded.
Really, seriously, do you feel like you got a lot of printer questions? Oh no, Steve, we're in trouble, man. You remember Zam? Zam had asked a question like 2 months ago on how to run an MSI script.
Oh yeah.
An MSI is an executable, but on Active Directory. I've been telling folks for the last 3 weeks that you were going to be talking about Active Directory.
Oh, but we talked about it at the beginning of December. I apologize. I did not know.
No, it's on me because we should have talked beforehand. But okay, I got to do this. All right.
We can do it next week.
Can we do it next week?
Yeah, next week or whenever the next time is you're going to stream.
Let's do it next week. Well, let me make sure I'm not a liar.
Wednesday the 4th.
Let me pull up a calendar. I don't want to lie.
I'm going to put it in my Google Calendar too.
Yeah, I will be back from, I'll probably still be nursing a hangover, but I will be back from New Orleans. Zam, I'm sorry, bud. Steve is halfway prepped, but he wanted to do like a end of the year thing, which I wanted to do too. And we just got our wires crossed. Zam, I apologize. Man, we're going to have to give Zam like a t-shirt or something for the most patient viewer ever. But on Wednesday the 4th, what we'll do, and Steve, I'd just like to do like a quick little overview. We'll talk about it offline. Zam, I'm really sorry. We're gonna have to save it for January 4th. I'm literally embarrassed. I don't want to look at him in the eye. That's why I'm doing this, Steve.
He says, send me a t-shirt. All is well. It'll be good.
God.
Sorry about that, Zam.
He literally asked that question. Doesn't have to be MSI files. No. I mean, it's fun. We'll do it. We'll absolutely do it. So Steve, if you can get like a little virtualized network setup,
you got it.
I'll do the same as a backup on my end. And yeah, we're gonna have to get Zam a t-shirt.
Absolutely. See, Kylie got quite a few printer questions. Now, Kylie, on your performance-based questions, those front-loaded ones, were there a lot of printer, like what is this? Or, hey, if you have this type of print error or this type of mark on your print, your printout, what would you most likely replace? I had probably, honestly, almost a dozen of those.
Well, wait a minute. You had performance-based questions that were talking about printer errors? I mean,
they literally had like an old, big old multi-function copier with every possible part popped out, zoomed out, and it asked, hey, what if this was wrong, what would you need to replace? If this was wrong, what would you need to replace? And you had to slide over the components.
And even though it's a copier, it's still a printer, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And so your 6-step printing process still works, right? Keep your transfer corona different than your primary corona, and you'll be in good shape. It's either going to be all white or all black 9 times out of 10.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh man, that's crazy. So, but again, Steve, we have to be careful here. We don't want to talk about actual exact questions on the exams, right? So, but from a topicality standpoint, we could be talking about a physical printer and doing point at different aspects. That's a good one to know. Thanks for that. Interesting. We're on that same vein, Steve. Were there other performance-based questions about printing that come to mind?
So not about printing. That one was about 5 or 6, I think, questions wrapped into one. But there was another one about cables and termination. What type of jack you would use at the end, what type of tool you would use to actually terminate it. And then, it showed like patch panels, it showed coax, for example. So it was all the different mediums we're used to in IT. And that was another multi-step PBQ.
And I've also heard, now this isn't A+, but Network Plus. I'd heard some noise that, of course, we all know 802.11ax is on the Network Plus, but here, Steve, I'm gonna try to quiz you.
Oh no.
How many different bands are supported by 802.11ax, including backward compatibility? This is a loaded question. I know you got 2 of them. It's the third one that nobody knows about. It's the 6 gigahertz band.
Oh, the Wi-Fi 6?
No. That's a coincidence. No, it's the 6 gigahertz. So 802.11ax does not really live in the 2.4 gigahertz band. Mm-hmm. It lives exclusively in the 5 gigahertz band. But for backward compatibility, you always want to say that it's also 2.4. But it also supports this weird band, this weird 6 gigahertz band. for really small networks. 6 gigahertz like can't even go through a typical interior wall, but it has this outrageous high speed to it. And I have not seen a physical box that actually supports it, but it is there. And we were getting some trouble on the Network Plus, the N10008. That's with Joe Ram. The guy you need to meet. He's a great SME.
Oh, we worked with him with the Total Sims and stuff. He helped with a lot of that for the A Plus as well. Fantastic guy.
Yeah. And so, you get commentary. You really read it. See, I'm one of these guys. I love compliments, but I don't read compliments. I just read the complaints, So when somebody says I'm doing great, I'm like, well, of course I'm doing great. But so I worry about the negative ones. And we were getting some flack because we didn't include the 6 gigahertz band in our discussion of 802.11ax. And remember my 4 rules of why you should ever talk about anything as an instructor, right? Number 1, does it make you a great tech? Number 2, does it get you past the certification? And even CompTIA forgot to put the 6, or maybe chose to not put the 6 gigahertz band in the objectives under 802.11ax. And there is no boxes out there. I'm sure there's one box somewhere, but I don't see it. I use when I want to know whether technology actually exists, I use what I call the eBay test, or sometimes now the Amazon test, which basically means if I can't easily find it on Amazon or eBay, it doesn't exist. And it generally works out pretty well. So the 6 gigahertz band does not currently pass either of those criteria. But it becomes interesting because, and as an instructor, I'll bet you run into this all the time. There's actually a question I'm getting towards here, Steve. And that is, how do you deal with the nerdiest of the nerds? The ones who always, 2 plus 2 can equal 5 for extremely large values of 2 kind of guys. So let's go with live instruction. How do you deal with that person sitting in the chair who may know more than you?
Yeah, that's a tough one because, when you teach, it's obviously a blanketed. So I'm not ever one to actually lecture for more than, say, 20, 30 minutes, depending on the class length, before I break it up into some sort of hands-on, some sort of lab, some sort of discussion, some sort of back and forth to kind of reiterate the points we've already discussed and move on from there. And typically in those points, at those like stopping points, I can tell if someone is either bored because I'm not explaining things enough for them, or bored because the information is beneath them, what they were expecting at that time. And that's where I usually do my hands-on with them and try to get to know them a little better and talk to them. And then most of that ends up finding something better for them to do. There's an assumption that students need to know that these curriculum that we offer, they have to be approved by certain committees, the state of Florida, for instance, in my case. And while they can be flexible and adjustable, we still have to cover the core things that we have to cover in order for us to be able to say, hey, we properly educated the student. And that's a tough one. Typically that ends up leading to more hands-on with the student, more offline time away from the class with that student, keeping them happy. But you can kind of break that up too with like group projects and stuff. I know that's not really applicable to what we're talking, but once you get other students involved and maybe give that student a chance to be a leader, they might come off less brash, less know-it-all, and give them a chance to kind of shine amongst their peers.
That's exactly what I do, Steve, is I turn them into my mini assistant.
Yeah.
And usually, especially if we're doing a breakout, I'm a big believer in one system, 2 students. I don't like individual students on individual systems, because if somebody gets lost, they're really lost. So you usually have this dynamic. So what I want to, in those situations, I'm going to turn that guy into, I'm going to put him with a less attuned student. And the first thing I'm going to say to him is, you work with this less attuned student, but you cannot touch the keyboard. You don't get to touch the keyboard. And with the right type of student, that often works really, really well. I've had good luck with that one.
Yep.
But, because the problem is I'm a nerd too. So I'm by nature competitive. So I just want to, I want to crush your head. I want to crush you, and it's like, nobody's going to win with that one. So I think let's call these students Sheldon Cooper from now on. You never watched The Big Bang Theory?
Oh, I know. I watched the first season, fell off after that, but yeah, I know Sheldon Cooper.
Young Sheldon, the spinoff. It's actually surprisingly good. And of course, it's in Texas, which, you know, I always like that kind of stuff. Yeah, so I got to tell you, the bigger challenge for me, especially as I start to pass the torch to you guys, is staying on the research edge, which I've done for over 30 years. And, you know, I'm doing a lot more of the presentation stuff. I'm going to be in Hammond, Louisiana next month, you know, kissing babies, as I call it. And it's a challenge for me. And we actually have research facilities here at Total Seminars. And, you know, this is one of the things I hated about Corona more than anything else, is that it ruined our think tank.
Yeah.
It was always fun for me and Dave Rush and Michael Smyer, and back in the day, Scott Jernigan and all these guys. I mean, we would be there with the equipment and doing it. And there is no way you can do that with remote. It doesn't exist.
Right.
You can make some fakey stuff, you know, but you have to have everybody staring at the same piece of equipment or at the same screen and smudging their fingers on the monitor and, you know, getting that stuff. So that's been a challenge for me, a personal great challenge. I mean, I've got pretty good R&D here. I can't complain, but without that academic rigor, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. No, you never want to be the big fish in a small pond.
Yeah, but I want fish that, you know, all the guys who work for me have traditionally never had a problem telling me when I'm full of, you know what, because I'm really good at technobabble. And the other nice part is that we've always had a great research dynamic. Michael Smyer, you met him, right?
I made him come in. I officially dubbed him as the Mac Maniac, and I made him come in and do all the Macintosh related stuff for the new A+ course, man. That guy, I love that guy to death. What a fantastic
from a logic
resource
standpoint. Him and I do not look at the universe in the same way. You know what I mean? And all I want to do is put his head in a half Nelson and just, you know, do one of these. He's absolutely right. He's spot on accurate, and he's a better tech than I am. But, you know, I'm Mr. Analogies and fun and, you know, make funny noises and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, Michael's very analytical.
He's an Occam's razor fan for sure.
But it makes
Occam's razor, A to B.
Oh, absolutely. But he so that, you know, and Dave always, he's in the background. He's not going to say anything right now. But Dave was always the guy who's like, you know, in Taiwan on Thursdays, you know, kind of a scenario guy. And Dave's much more of a hardware guy than I am. I mean, you want to talk about, you know, antenna gain and stuff like that. He's your man. But it was always fun because Dave always had an alternative to it. And so see, this is why I'm super anti-remote work. I don't think it helps anybody. I know it's nice to sit in your house. It is nice to have a 13-second commute. I'm doing it myself. I've already told Total Seminars to break down my office, but you lose that, what's the word I'm looking for? That over the water cooler kind of, hey, Steve, look at this cool thing I'm doing. What do you think? You know?
Right.
And the spontaneous creativity. I don't like having to set appointments with peers to have conversations. I think as peers, I mean, you can have office hours, professor, to help you out a little bit, but
that's what we do.
But at the same token, I miss that. And I think that it's great. And when people want to say things like work-life balance, I hate that term. I've always liked a frenetic pace, you know? Yes. And so I don't do nearly as well in this sort of la, you know, we'll get together at 3 and, you know, here's a little app. You can't even call me on the phone. Here's an app that asks when you want to make a reservation to talk to me. It's like, what the heck? Here's my, you know, I'm telling you, half the people online right now have my personal cell phone number. Yeah, half of these guys do.
I give it to everybody as well.
Andre does. I know Tolowit does. Dave Rush does. And does this make me old? You know, I don't know what the right answer is. Am I supposed to be on just Slack, Discord? Teams. No.
Oh.
Do you use Teams?
Yeah, we use it for internal communications at Total Seminars. Yeah, I'm not a fan of it at all, but I don't know what's wrong with email. Teams doesn't facilitate anything that email doesn't for me. You know what I mean? It just gives me extra chat windows. That's it.
I get fascinating error screens that, I think Microsoft wants to research. You're in the wrong container, or they invent these terms. They're worse than AWS, man.
Yeah.
Just these new terms. I like my little personal Office 365. That worked fine. But the moment I went over and let Big Brother take it all on, it's a challenge. So this is one of the issues I run into with National Cyber Group, is this overload of communication. So are we going to do this on Slack, or did you send me a DM in LinkedIn, or was this on the cell, or was this on what you call it, Signal, or did this come through on Discord, or is this a Teams message? Which group was it in Teams? Oh, is the file location there, or is it in OneDrive? And I got to tell you, it's a challenge. Did you run into this, or is it just me talking?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, it's exactly as you say it is. Every entity that I work with does something different or handles it differently. And each one is more terrible than the last, The biggest issue for me is probably, like you say, the co-location of files, right? Some in Dropbox, some in Teams, or in OneDrive, excuse me, some in other storage providers, and you have to constantly, and then you have to, the biggest thing is too, you have to do some sort of SSO, and now you're connected to all these accounts across these things that you really didn't want to in the first place, right? Like if you want to keep your work and personal life separately, well, if I need to access something from my personal email without signing into my work email, now I've got to associate the accounts. And yeah, there is a lot of interconnected services, but it's not going to get any different. It's not going to get any. I don't think it's going to ease up in the future, right? Because while it is a detriment to people like you and I, we like to get hands-on and stuff, it does greatly increase the availability of the content. But that's about the only positive.
I think that much as 20 years ago, we didn't really talk about IT security as a separate issue, I think that we're going to have another whole philosophy. What's the word I'm looking for? Methodology that's going to be data management, but not just data. We have tons of data management now, but I'm not talking about classic flat file-based data management. There has to be this whole thing. I'll give you another example. They set up SharePoint for me. I'm working at home, okay? And they set up SharePoint for me, and they're like, oh, and if you don't click here, then we will back up your desktop. And I'm like, you do not want to back up my desktop, all right? That's just not going to happen. It's all G-rated, but, the last thing I want to do is, have my investment spreadsheet show up with some kid. Ah, my gosh. And, so it used to be it was opt-in. Now it is you have to opt out, and we're going to make it very challenging for you to opt out.
And you're most likely going to have to opt out several times a year, like every quarter or every time it updates or something like that. You're going to have to re-opt out. Yeah, it is a pain.
It's craziness. Well, this was an interesting direction for us to go. Let's see if anybody's got any commentary in here. I
actually have something I'd like to pick your brain about too. I'm not sure if you've had a chance to play with it. So when we have some time, remind me.
Sure. Well, I just want, please give me 2 minutes to take a look. So TD Washington and Alex agree with me that, for example, Alex is saying if the employees are more productive working from the office, make them come. Yeah, it can be a challenge, to say the least. Joe Aces had a question. Hang on. Joe, do you have a question for me? I just stopped by to thank you so much for A+. Well, Joe, I hope you're talking to both Steve and I. At 2:19, Steve, Joe Aces says, I just stopped to say thank you so much for your CompTIA A+ on Udemy. It's been helping me so much studying for the exam. Well, you're very welcome, Steve.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah. And feel free to reach out. Stephen N at totalseminars.com. Or Mike is yours. Mike at Total Seminars or Mike M?
Hey, go ahead and type your email, Steve. Just type it right into the chat. I'm going to do the same with mine. So for those of you who don't have our emails, there's mine, and I'm sure Steve's will pop up here in just a moment.
Yeah, I just hit. Yeah, but if you have questions as you're prepping for the exam, Joe, feel free to reach out, buddy.
Yep, there they come. And yeah, also do keep in mind, we have a great Discord channel.
Yep.
Dave Rush will post that up there. Do check that out. That would be a great place, especially, for 20, 30 years now, Steve, I've always wanted to create a list of the top 25 questions I get all the time. I've never done it, know? And one of these days, Dave Rush is going to slam my head against the table until I actually put something like that together. Or
that would be a great table read book, like a coffee table type book. And like, not only the question that you received, but how maybe, how you would answer it, and also any experiences that you can recall that relate to that as well. That'd be really cool to read, actually.
Definitely. Tolowit, the truth is Mike is embarrassed about his massive collection of cat pictures on his desktop. You got it, bud. Nope, I don't, it's all G-rated. It's just, how many times do you want to see pictures of Mike at the beach? Really? Go with that image for a minute, kids. Don't worry, I've got a big metal detector and a big hat. It's not that exciting. Hang on, I just want to see. Oh, wait, go, Steve, you said you had a question for me. Hit me, brother.
Well, I wanted to know, have you played with any of the OpenAI ChatGPT bot stuff yet? Have you heard of it? Have you played with it?
It came up here on the Total Seminars channel about 2 weeks ago. I don't remember who talked about it. No, I haven't touched any of it, but I'll tell you, I get a lot of robocallers that are like, hello, Mike. Yeah, this is Mike. This is Dover, and it sounds like a human being. Have you got any of these?
No, I have an app on the phone that blocks all that.
My problem is because I filter a lot of calls through National Cyber Group. If people have questions about the program, I have to take all calls, everything. And yeah, so I get a lot of these. So I'm now at the boop kind of stage on those things. But so tell me about, so when you say GPT, I always thought that meant a type of hard drive partitioning format.
Yeah. No, so it's this openai.com, and they created this learning model that I guess learned for everything. It no longer has access to the internet, so it's done learning. It actually stopped learning towards the end of 2021, but very, very cool for the fact that, let me tell you why I'm bringing it up. We had to talk about Active Directory, and when we had to talk about Active Directory, it naturally led me to go back in and look at some of my old client work I had done for clients, and some of these, just different problems that had come up. I keep a running notebook and stuff. And one of them was this 21 kilobyte file that used to kind of run through Active Directory. It was real resource intensive, but it was a script that would just run through the Active Directory, sense for old accounts, disabled accounts, guest accounts, just all these things that would be potential security holes in an organization. And it would run through all of this stuff, and it would take a lot of time. Well, I put that into ChatGPT and just asked it, hey, can you make this script any more efficient? And it whittled it down to 20 lines, well, maybe 30 with comments. And I just find it absolutely amazing how efficient it is and how quick it is. And I don't know, it was also a little scary. So the fact that it's not reaching out online, it just naturally learns all of this. It's very cool.
Yeah, it is a little scary because I actually typed in openai.com, and now I have a redirect to something called Skynet.
Dun, 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 dun.
It says, dun-dun. Do you want to play a game? Okay. There's a movie reference.
Oh yeah, War Games, or War Games.
War Games, yeah, that was a classic.
You don't see Matthew Broderick in a lot of things these days, and he's a fantastic actor.
Well, it's because he's swimming in his money.
It's true.
And isn't he married to Carrie from the Sex in the City gal?
I never watched it.
Neither did I.
Sure, Mike.
No, it's true. It's true. Although I will admit, if you want to talk about guilty pleasure, I did watch the final movie for Downton Abbey, which I somehow missed. I know it's just weird, but I'm infatuated by British royalty and all this stuff. Yeah, cool, because I look so much like Prince Charles.
You do. Are you
old
now?
and dead.
Yeah. Are you following the modern royal family stuff?
Nah, I don't care about those.
Yeah. Okay.
Nah. I mean, I watched them for a while. So that was your question?
Yeah, I didn't know if you had a chance to play with it at all. It's fantastic.
I literally just logged in. I'll see what it does.
Like even like rewriting stuff. I put in a lot of my future videos kind of scripts and had it clean it up, and it works very well. Like I'm talking about actual word scripts, like vocal scripts, things I'm going to say. It rearranged a couple classes, like used a different logic model. It does Meyers and Bloom's taxonomy, like it has that built in too, so it automatically adjusts words properly for different adverbs and adjectives and descriptors. It's just fantastic tool. It's like having a very highly skilled, highly paid assistant available 24/7 for you.
I'm scared.
And it's just crazy because it's the first iteration and it's not connected online, right? It's just, or there's no ingress, or there's only ingress, there's no egress, excuse me.
Oh, now it's asking me to type in my name and all that. I'll do that later. No,
yeah,
that's
I just
scary.
did single sign on.
Oh, I got to tell you, AI stuff, like, you ever use Grammarly?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So, I sometimes will cheat with Grammarly to, I've never really liked the way Word handles a lot of grammar stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And, so we've used Grammarly on a very casual basis, and, on a certain product, we actually caught some plagiarism.
Really?
Yeah. So, I mean, we got it in time and all that, but we had not a chapter I wrote, but it was yeah. So it's very interesting, and thank God we did that, because if we hadn't have caught that and somebody else did down the road, yipe. So I'm fascinated. I'm going to be checking out OpenAI just on your recommendation alone.
You'll have a blast with it. You'll definitely go down the rabbit hole.
We have a request from you, sir. For
yes.
you. Kylie was asking if we could see your Christmas sweater a little better, please.
Oh, yeah, it's Dwight from The Office.
He's oh God, what was the character he played?
Belschnickel.
What?
Belschnickel.
Belschnickel. Are you naughty or are you good or
no? Impish. It was impish or something.
Impish or. Trust me, with this crowd, somebody's about to type it in.
Yeah. Sorry, Kylie, it's Dwight. Impish. I actually have
Yeah, Kylie. Bears beats Battlestar Galactica. Michael! Sarah Jessica Parker. Thank you, TD Washington. Steve, your crazy blurred background is smearing your.
Can you see Belschnickel?
Yeah, barely, but I can see it.
Barely. Sorry, guys. Yeah, it's
I'm
the
looking
NVIDIA
at
broadcast
through a rainy window.
Yeah. Oh well. But yeah, impish or admirable. Oh, here we go. Now you can kind of see it.
There you go. That's it.
Belschnickel.
Impish or admirable. Thank you, Zoltan.
Yeah, that's
that would have
fantastic.
driven me crazy.
Bears beats Battlestar Galactica.
That's what she said. I'm sorry.
Can you plagiarize ChatGPT? Yeah, that's an interesting. It's an interesting question. Question for Steve: what programming languages do you use most frequently, and anywhere are good resources to learn them? What have you and where you learned them? Okay, so I'm a LAMP stack guy. I did web programming, web development and stuff for probably better part of a decade.
Make
so
sure
Linux,
they know what LAMPS is.
Yep. I was gonna say, so when I say LAMP stack, I'm talking Linux, Apache, MySQL, and PHP. I think that should be like definitely part of your core skill set. That gives you a lot of deep understanding into how things function online, websites, databases, stuff like that. And then, of course, if you're talking code develop yourself, I would strongly recommend Python. Getting into Python, you can do pretty much anything you want to with Python. It's very natural language. It's intuitive as well. I know, does Total Seminars have Python learning courses on their site?
Not that I'm aware of.
Not that you're aware of. So
kind of not.
I know we do get into Python scripting and stuff in the A+. I recommend free resources. MIT is great about putting a lot of their CompTIA courses online for free. There's also things like Code Academy, which are free, and you can like code right along with like a virtual instructor. But honestly, you can just install an IDE, some sort of Python IDE in your system, and run it right off Windows, run it at the command line, run it in PowerShell, whatever, and just start experimenting and playing with stuff. That's probably the
I
best
agree with
way.
Steve. Python's the way to go. And the nice part about Python is that you can easily port your knowledge into other types of languages. I mean, for example, you would not have a hard mental jump to go into JavaScript with that. So Python's definitely a way to go. But the other thing about Python that people forget about is that they're going to take some little Python course and do a little bit of hello world. And I always think that's a mistake. So what Steve was talking about is going into a LAMPS type scenario, and where you're actually build a tiny little web app. There's a big difference between writing a little code that shows up on your screen that says hello world and have a legitimate functional website where it just says hello world. The integration of those tools. And by the way, you can do all of this completely for free. AWS still has completely free. You can spin up your own free, what do they call it this week? Instance, I think.
Yeah, it's EC2 is the new free tier.
Yeah. And you can set all that up. You can do your Python. How far do you want to go with this? You could, set up containers and, GitHub it and all that stuff if you really wanted to go absolutely crazy. But
well, and the great part about it, Mike, too, is even if you're not interested, say, you're just interested in developing the code, the structure for it, there's Bootstrap resources for the UI UX stuff that you can integrate right away. Or if you're just interested in doing the opposite of that, there's pre-built infrastructure that you can integrate right away. So it really is, kind of a fundamental tool set that everybody should be learning, or at least getting in.
But it shows my age there, because I'm still thinking in terms of infrastructure as a service, which I still believe in. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, yeah.
But it's so much more platform as a service these days. I think, using Heroku or something like that, where you're just basically shooting your code up and you're not worried about the operating system or the type of CPU on your virtual box and stuff like that. And a little bit of both is not a bad way to go.
Yep.
Dave Rush, I let Chat GPT write my Python code these days.
Really?
No, I assure you, he's being a little smart right now.
I should have known. He is a satirical sort of fellow.
So Zam, of course, is here. So Steve, if we're going to do, so Zam is a little bit, in my opinion, beyond the A+, Net Plus, Security Plus learner, but he asks some fascinating questions. He's not the only one who does that. My good buddy Don Odinga asked some pretty whomper questions too. David Mohan used to. I haven't seen him for a while too. But anyway, Zam, where'd he go? I lost the question. How to implement Python into a Windows sysadmin environment?
As far as
I wouldn't.
I mean, you can just go to python.com and install it into Windows Server. What do you mean by sysadmin environment? Like being able to do everything?
Yeah, being able to add users and stuff like that. I would just use PowerShell. I mean,
yeah, I was gonna say, PowerShell is fantastic, and you can actually do, once you have the Python node installed, you can actually do Python code within PowerShell.
And the other thing is you remember PowerShell has so many variables that are built in for the actual domain, for the AD, for the server, whatever it is. Whereas with Python, you'd probably be just making calls to do that stuff anyway, back to PowerShell. I wouldn't know unless you want to do CSL IDs or something like that. Yipe.
Right.
So no, Zam, for a for just administering Windows, PowerShell is going to be your Phillips screwdriver of choice. To me, you're using Python because you're generating some form of application or applet at least, and you're trying to do something with it. So these tools are extremely powerful. And as Steve just described, they do a lot of cross-pollination, but stick to PowerShell when you're administering Windows. That's going to be my quick call on it.
And what Mike was saying too, just to clarify for those of you that didn't understand that, the variables that he talks about is like when you're issuing commands in PowerShell, you can tab to autocomplete or cycle through commands and stuff like that. That library, that entire language is built into PowerShell, whereas just plain Python or just plain DOS prompt, command line, excuse me, won't have those built in. So if you're managing a Windows server environment, Active Directory, anything like that, definitely use PowerShell.
Go ahead, Steve. I'm trying to get my OpenAI set up. You're up, man.
Yeah, you're gonna have fun with that. I'm telling you, it'll be 10 o'clock before you even notice it.
Oh, don't do that to me.
Let's see here. Trying to catch up on some of these questions. Yeah, Mike, or excuse me, Dave, aren't you doing? Is it possibly your final drama? Is it this Friday?
Oh, that's right.
We should definitely, we all need to be there. What time is that at? Same time?
2 o'clock Central, Steve.
2 o'clock Central, guys. Yeah, so the final episode of the Drama Podcast and stream will be this Friday, the end of an era. Dave's going to do other shows for those of you that love him like we do, but he kind of feels that drama format, now that everything's kind of settled with COVID, we can move on to newer and better. So.
And Dave's also been doing a lot more of the producer type work, the showrunner type stuff. And honest to Pete, he does a pretty good job of it. So
everything runs like clockwork because of him.
I got to stop looking at this Chat GPT.
What was the first thing you typed? We want to know. What was the first thing you asked it or did, as long as it's G-rated?
Everything I do is G-rated. Hang on.
Inquiring minds.
I'm going to type it in real quick and see what it says. Oh, good Lord. So I typed in, I have a lovely bunch of coconuts. And it's still blathering on.
It is a little loquacious.
It sounds like you have a fun and tropical treat to enjoy. And then obviously it went straight to Encyclopedia Britannica from there.
That's funny.
I'll have more fun with this offline.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's neat because like you can point it to, for instance, certain technical issues, and then it's a stream of consciousness thing. So it remembers everything you're talking about to it previously. So I've done things like I've created a technical issue and then said, okay, now apply the CompTIA troubleshooting theory steps to this and solve this issue. And it would literally work through it. It's just interesting to see it work through in some ways a similar way I would, in other ways completely different things to solve those issues. So it's very cool. I think AI and using it to kind of really, like we talked about, those students that know more than you, right? Or extremely more prepared, not necessarily even more than you, but more than the level that you have to teach at the rest of the class to. I think having AI and being able to spin up multiple modalities and different approaches to that same content is going to be really useful in the future for my job field, anyone's job field. I'm
just waiting for some chromium steel robot arm to inject something into my spine, I could become loquacious of Borg or something. Locucious. Yeah. Look.
I think they're ready for the Neuralink chip. It's ready. I'm sure if you asked Elon.
I just made a funny and I didn't even mean to. I said I was going to become I said loquacious of Borg. I meant locucious of Borg. Oh my God, that's my name, Loquacious of Borg. I got it. Done and done. Yeah, so Dave's final drama is going to be this Friday, 2 o'clock right here, Total Seminars channel. We will not be replacing our Friday slot. We're going to be leaving that open as we continue to look for new angles and attitudes and ways to keep the word going out better and better. I mean, Steve, as I've already told these guys, the AMA format will always have a little bit of that because people have questions, and I don't want to get rid of that.
Yep.
But we've been looking for a few months to develop more of a subject-based kind of thing, sort of a Linus Tech Tips sort of angle on that, but more of a certification and job-seeking angle to that.
Yep.
But getting bought out from National Cyber Group and trying to get an A+ out this year has definitely kind of put some of our other great ideas on the back burner, but they're coming up more and more, especially as 2023. And so that's the other thing leading in towards the next question is what does the future hold for us? Can you believe we've been on 50 minutes already, Steve?
Really?
The big thing for me personally is to continue to support National Cyber Group and CyberNow Labs as we develop our Unboot Camp tool set, to continue directly support through marketing, lots of kissing babies, as I call it, to continue to support USMEs. But next time around, Steve, you're going to have to ask. So keep that in mind.
Got it.
You're doing a great job, and I'm proud to pass the torch to you, sir.
I appreciate that.
But so that would be the thing, and start drilling on topics more that are more near and dear to my heart. We had a big discussion on server storage interfaces. I don't know, you ever look at U2 or some of these more unique ways to put hard drives in? What do they call them? Razor drives, big, long, skinny things.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought those types of topics, which really aren't really certification based, stuff like that. So that's for me. So, Steve, I'm going to have to kind of ask you, have you set any clear goals for what you want to do in 2023 work-wise?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I might have an idea for your Friday dilemma. So we're going to talk about that. I'm going to work on developing that over the next week or two. But I think Fridays could come back in a different format, subject-based like we talked about. But then I've also got a bunch of great interviews lined up with a bunch of people in the industry, people just like you. I think it's that exchange of information is key to really improving all of our skill sets and knowledge. But I want to say one thing too. The reason why some of you may not realize this, but having the National Cyber Group as our, I guess, parent, as our big company now, opens up so many possible avenues in the future that we're going to be able to offer. So Mike helping go out there and kiss babies, as he calls it, is actually, and that's why he keeps bringing it up, because this is actually a huge thing. We can focus on improving those larger processes for everybody to benefit from. So that's a huge thing I'm looking forward to seeing, because the acquisition just happened. So I'm looking forward to seeing how 2023 works out with Mike doing that role. And I'll be here. Like I said, I'm going to have some ideas for the Friday stuff starting real soon. And next Wednesday, we're going to talk Active Directory again, right?
Yeah, we're going to do it. Poor Zam literally got on today just because I swore to him that we'd be on here. So I've eaten all the crow I can. Zam is cool. I'm going to have to get him a t-shirt somehow, but we'll do it. And I promise I will have a small Active Directory set up, virtualized on my studio system here as well. And, we can bounce back and forth. And
yeah, that'd be great.
The problem is Zam's question was so easy, but you just have to see it, right? And it was startup scripts, which is something you can build into domain login, forest login, individual system login, and you just drag the executable in there, and that's it, Zam. I know it's, but these would be the types of questions. But I'll tell you the other thing, Steve, I think people would really like is a good tight methodology on how to do this. So I don't care what hypervisor you pick, but pick one that works. So I'm probably going to do mine in VirtualBox, but you can, whatever you want to do it in VirtualBox. I don't care. That would be one thing. I was also toying with the idea of trying to do it on the cloud. And is there a free cloud facility for that? And I think there is.
Yeah, you can do it in Azure. You can do it in Azure for free.
No. But can you get Windows Server installed in an IaaS environment? Is somebody, I know I can put Ubuntu on there, no problem. I can put Red Hat on there, no problem. But can I get a free box that would allow me to put Windows Server up there. And, you know, the right answer is, if you think about it, forget Amazon. We need to be going over to Microsoft, right? And some of their cloud solutions. And I'll bet the answer is at least I guarantee we could get you a 180-day license. But that's just a matter of a little R&D.
Yeah, here you go. I actually found the link. I'll put the link in chat. But yeah, you can spin up a free entire Windows Server environment, everything in the cloud with a free Azure account.
With Azure, they let you do it because when Azure first came on, you did not have a free account option. That didn't exist, and that I think that murdered them because AWS with EC2 or EC3 now or whatever it is, let you do those free accounts with a legit public IP address. And, you know, you could actually interface into your app. And so now that you've said Azure, well, here, let's make it easy. Steve, do you want to do this in Azure personally, or do you want to do it in VirtualBox? Because whatever you pick, I'll do the other.
I always like using my own resources, to be honest with you. So I like using my own hardware here, my own VM server set up. I'm a big believer in reusing equipment, and I love VMware.
So what hypervisor are you going to use for your VMs?
VMware. I always use VMware.
You're using VMware. Okay. Well, all right. Well, I'll pick. Dude, I'm not going to be able to be ready by next Wednesday. I'm leaving in 2 days to go party like a rock star in New Orleans.
I know.
And I'm going to. It's going to be ugly. It's going to be, you know.
Should we push it back a week so you have time to recover and prep?
I don't know, because I'm going to start getting anthrax letters from Zam if we put. Would you be ready by next Wednesday on your end of it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no problem. Yeah.
Let's stick with Plan A then. Let's stick with Plan A.
We'll demo it on VMware. If I have time, I'll load up VirtualBox 2 or something else.
All right, we'll stick with Wednesday, January 4th, and because I've been wanting to do a get Mike off of VirtualBox kind of hypervisor tour, because there's a lot of them out there now that, you know, I don't even really, I mean, I know their names, but here, like even Kimber Parker just said, Linode has free credits, stuff like that.
Yep.
Those are the things we have to look at. And so I need to get off my VirtualBox, which is a tried and true hypervisor that I can make it dance and sing in 8 languages, but what else is out there, you know? And so separate from your AD conversation, maybe that might be another interesting topic.
Yep, absolutely. And again, you know, a good agnostic version is obviously VMware, but Hyper-V, if you use Hyper-V and, you know, you have a completely Windows connected environment, there's a lot of powerful tools that Hyper-V enables as well. So yeah, there's definitely a lot to consider.
Steve, they're saying your link doesn't work.
Yeah, so I guess I'm not an admin, so I can't post links. So it just is not showing up. I apologize for that. I don't know where else I can put it. But you can just search Windows Server Trial on Google, and it'll lead you to the page, and it'll tell you to either download the ISO, which you can install in your own virtual machine, or spin it up on Azure.
Yeah, Zam, I have been looking at Hyper-V also. I quit looking at Hyper-V a long time ago when I discovered that it's Hyper-V is only a Type 1 hypervisor.
Yeah.
And when you install it, it turns your Windows desktop into a VM and doesn't bother telling you, which I find a little off-putting. But that information is over 4 years old, and I haven't played with it since, Steve. So again, this really boils back to, you know, got to get that R&D thing going again, man. Hey, listen, Steve, we're almost running out of time here. Guys, does anybody want a competition today? If you want to have a competition for a 90-day access to the TotalTester of your choice, type the word yes into the chat window right now. In the meantime, my buddy Steve is going to be thinking of an interesting question that he can apply that either goes to A+, Net Plus, or Security Plus, and see if anybody's interested. Right now, it's just Kylie. Only one, yeah. Well, okay, Zam. All right. Kylie, you got your Macho Man voice, doing well. Okay, yeah, we got tons of people. All right. So, guys, here's what's about to happen. We are about to have a competition for 90-day access to the Total Seminars TotalTester product of your choice. Keep in mind that we go way beyond just A+, Net Plus, and Security Plus, offering a broad cross-section of testing products. Just a matter of heading over to www.totalsem.com and seeing which one you want. So the first person who answers this question to Steve's satisfaction is going to be the winner. This is not a fair competition. We'd like it to be fair, but it sometimes can be arbitrary and sometimes downright cruel. So
this will be an easy one, hopefully.
Be careful. We got some ringers in here, dude. All right. You've been warned. It's an easy one, guys. So everybody's got their fingers on the keyboard. Steve, I'm going to shut up.
Let's do this. What was the first generation of Ethernet cable to unlock gigabit speeds? Oh, and now we got to wait for this awkward pause while we wait for the video to catch up and everybody to hear it. 5 what? Oh, there we go. Ali.
No, do you see when they say pass? That means they know the answer, but they don't want to compete for the prize.
Oh, okay. So Andre didn't pass, so did he win?
Andre, do you really want to? Andre's like one of our oldest viewers and has won many times and is welcome to win again. Andre, if you really want it, man, you got it, brother, but you're going to have to say, I want it. Let's give Andre a second to type in. Andre says, I hope so, which means I hope he's responding to either the fact that I said he's one of our oldest viewers or he's saying he wants it. There we go. All right.
Fantastic. There you go, Andre. Good job, buddy.
Andre, there you go, man. Big round of applause. Andre, you know the system. Number one, Andre, send an email. I can't. Can I? Hang on. Let me. I'm afraid I'm going to break something. Let's see if this works. There we go.
There you go.
So, Andre, go ahead and send an email to Dave Rush. Come on, Andre. You could literally do this announcement. Send an email to Dave Rush. That's daver@totalsim.com. Inside that email, put your YouTube name, which is Andre DeGurgich, and then your email address, which is Andre something Belgium whatever. And then be sure to let us know which practice exam you want. So, Steve,
good job, Andre.
I'd like to close with a joke. Is that okay?
Yeah, please.
If people from France are the French and people from Wales are the Welsh, then people from Belgium are the
Belch.
The Belch.
To the Belgians.
Those crazy Belgians. Andre's going to kick my butt. I swear to God. I'm glad he's on the other side of the ocean.
I'm glad he won a contest this week.
Absolutely. My Lint chocolate giveaway. Yeah. Ali, I can't imagine what they'd look like by the time they got to you, man.
Yeah.
All right. Well, guys, thanks so much for showing up. We absolutely guarantee, promise, swear to God, stack on a hand of Bibles. We will finally do Zam's long. I got to tell you, I think it's been almost 3 months he asked that question, Steve.
Has it really?
Yeah. And I just keep stringing him along like that, yeah, on 3-pound test.
Now it's got to be worth it, or the anticipation just isn't worth the event itself.
Yes, as part of the enticement, Steve will be doing the presentation without a shirt on. So
there you go.
You got that? A certain percentage of people like that idea.
we can do it in we can do like a hot tub stream. I hear those are popular these days.
I've got a hot tub.
There you go.
Yeah. But again, thanks you guys. Thank you for showing up so much. Have a wonderful New Year's. Steve, you doing anything fun for New Year's this year, brother?
No, just going to hit a couple more theme parks. We're theme park fanatics, so we get in when it's not busy. But other than that, just finishing up some chores on the house while I got the time, and that's about it.
Yeah, we're going to be collecting beads, man. It's going to be...
That'll be fun.
Go from big old fun. Shall I tell you what I do Louisiana accent when we come up back there,
Yes.
All right, guys, have a wonderful one. We will see you guys soon. This is your Uncle Mike and
Steve. Steve is it. Sorry. Late cue.
All right, guys. Y'all have a good one. Bye.
Take care, guys.
And we're out.
All right.
Okay. You had me sweating there a little bit.